Hey, my name is Bep. This month is a little bit of a whirlwind, so I'm just going to get straight to it. We started off in Thief 2, The Metal Age. This one is just a straight continuation of the first one, including the plot, and after sealing the god of the druids, the tech zealot Hammerites, specifically the mechanists, take control of the city. The game does reflect that in a lot of ways. There's more machines, devices, little gadgets, and electrical lights that throw themselves in your way. I won't lie though, this is one of the best games of the whole year. It sharpens the mechanics of the first, while adding new and inventive like heists and things that you're doing. It works more on the feeling of the world and your place in it. There's a whole mission that I've been showing. It's the one that I did again. Because the whole idea is that you're just making rent. That's it. There's no like greater plot thing to it really. It introduces you more to certain things you can overhear. You can see some of the gadgets and the new ways they use old stuff, and it really just fucking works. There's an entire mission that starts with you have to run all the way across the rooftops to get to the heist and then leave from there. There's honestly one of the hardest levels in either Thief game so far, where you have to break in, case an entire place, and leave. You can't get spotted, you can't blackjack anyone, you can't fight anyone. It is just a pure raw test of your ability to deal with the mechanics. Man, I really want to gush about this one. Garrett's a fun character, even if he's a little bit of a dick, and he's developed more here while still having that kind of sarcastic edge, and the whole package it's magnificent. There's a conspiracy that you slowly discover, and it kind of baits you into thinking like, oh, I understand where this is going, and it just kind of hard turns on you. It's really fucking cool. You don't really need to play the first one to fully grasp what's going on. There's some character interactions that won't make a ton of sense, but this one so clearly improves on the first to the point that it's honestly kind of nuts. It's crazy that the second one in the series hits this hard, this accurately, and improves everything. I have no issues. 10 out of 10. I am hoping this momentum maintains. I can't believe I wasn't recording my incredible changing Thief games to singular joke. I'm so fucking cringe, man. I'm so fucking.
Let me put my coffee down. Actually, I don't know why I had that in my hand. Oh.
Oh shit! I haven't played any of these yet.
I wanted to say, which ones do you have?
These four are Dark Forces, Dark Forces 2, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy, but probably not in that order. Star Wars Dark Forces. Alright. This starts the journey of Kyle Katarn, beginning here as a former Imperial turned Rebel mercenary. The conceit of this game is honestly just really apparent. It's Star Wars Doom. I don't know what to tell you, it's Star Wars Doom. I did have to get an entire fan rework called the Force Engine because the base DOS form of the game is not unplayable, but for me, a person who is not a big fan of boomer shooters, is incredibly grinding and hard to deal with. For some reason, to look up and down, it's not mapped to the mouse base. It's page up and page down, which is the kind of key mapping I just don't understand even a little bit. Like, I know that the original Doom, you couldn't look up and look down, but the levels accounted for that. You had people with infinite tall hitboxes. They didn't have as vertical of levels. There are several levels in this game that are just incredibly tall or feel tall. But after I got through the tilt, after I got over it and really kind of got it rolling in a way that I could engage with, I got it. I got it in a way that I don't quite get Doom. It's a game I've played a few times, but like this, maybe it's a Star Wars skin and I'm just a fucking big ass nerd, but I don't know, man. Like, I had a lot of fucking fun. It's nice that there's a life system too, so I don't have to just like perfectly execute, oh, you die, you're fucked, fuck you. It does have the old shit where you have to like hunt down keys and like open doors and all kinds of stuff, but like, you can get lives, you get a few shots. That can be kind of a double-edged sword though, because you have more shots at a level without having to fully redo it. It does mean some of the levels are pretty long, and the only time I really game overed was the last mission, which is pretty long, really tough, and has a lot of places where you can just die. I got really deep twice before fucking dying and having to reset until I really pulled it off. I really like this. I look forward to the rest of Kyle's journey, but I don't know how long it's going to be till I see him again.
Wheel.
I just
Spin the wheel.
It's 20% Tomb Raider. If I hit Thief again, it's off the wheel. Jet Set Radio and Breath of Death are one shots. Like I'm officially in dangerous territory.
Wheel. Real.
Wheel.
Real.
Wheel.
Real.
Wow, Jordan.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, back to Thief.
Thief.
This is the last Thief
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
So after this,
Oh no.
this is what the
We
wheel
were
looks
thinking-
like. Oh, fuck. Shit.
That's the last.
What's gonna happen?
Huh. Okay, Garrett. Let's say you wrap things up in Thief Deadly Shadows. I'll be upfront and say this didn't quite match the level of quality of the Metal Age. There was some kind of engine change because this one looks higher quality in a way that like looks choppier somehow. And the biggest issue that I had is that my main method of enemy disposal, which was blackjacking them, was nerfed into the earth. The lunge isn't consistent. If an enemy hears a sound, even if you have the drop on them, they just don't get knocked out if you hit them. So you have to wait for them to de-aggro. And there was a thing you could do in the first and second ones where if you got in an aggro situation, you could, via a combination of like strafing and circling, hit them on the back of the head in the fight and knock them out. Not an option here, at least not in any way that I was able to figure out how to make it work. I had to entirely change my approach because of that, but not in an interesting way. I just had to be slower, which was kind of frustrating, but I just dealt with it. On the flip side though, because of the new physics, bonking people, now insanely funny, because they just ragdoll onto the ground. Now, a problem that I ran into is that if they fall wrong, they can hit their own sword and die, which I don't like killing people if I don't have to in these games, but it was a little humorous. I think the biggest change is the addition of a hub world, which is a little bit of a mixed bag. Instead of giving you like mission to mission to mission, you're like, all right, you have a couple leads you can chase down. You get to choose the order. There's a little more interaction with the city's factions. It's not deep or anything. It's not super deep, but it's cool to have that level of choice, to organically find the next steps and then chase them, as opposed to being told where to go. And also a big thing which is missing from the other games, which I didn't notice until this one did it, which is selling your loot and buying gear. Because like you had the buying gear thing at the start and you sold loot. In this one, physically going to different fences to sell the stuff that you have and buying gas arrows or the climbing gloves, which are incredibly handy and I underutilized. Like that kind of stuff was really cool. It really put you in that even little headspace where you felt like, all right, I'm getting gear for my next job. I'm trying to approach it different ways. It also does stuff like testing your memory, like how well can you remember where things are, how they chain together, how you can get places. But enemy aggro really dampens this for me, because if an enemy aggro's on you, they stay aggro for a while. And because they're not as well designed, doesn't feel like the right word, it's really hard to break aggro effectively, which just makes, sometimes you walk into a hub world, like a dude spots you and you're just like, all right, I just gotta reload because I'm not dealing with this shit. Now, this is the end of Garrett's journey. And because of that, I want to talk about Thief and its reboot now that I know more. Because when I first played the reboot, I didn't really have the full context of having played the old games. Mal and I were talking about this, and I did agree with something that he said. One of the biggest reasons why the reboot sucks and doesn't feel as full as these games do is because it doesn't have the Keepers, the Druids, or the Hammerites, who are your main kind of factions who are doing stuff in the world. Now, that's not always good. They are the source of a lot of your problems, and all of them talk like different flavors of total dork, but they're distinct enough that usually if I hear them in the background, I almost always know who's talking. The Keepers are like the cryptic nerds. I don't like giving you information. Like the Druids say shit like foolish man things, an incredibly funny phrase that I will occasionally just say to myself. And the Hammerites talk like high school theater kids. I don't know, man. It's like straight Shakespeare. And Garrett himself is true neutral, which makes him really work because he can functionally work with anyone in the right situation, which allows him to flow between everyone. No one here is totally evil or unalloyed good. Part of the problems that were happening in 2 was because the Druids got nerfed and almost wiped out, basically, the entire city's fucking falling to like poisonous smog. And I liked that level of interplay between like having the balance. The reboot doesn't really have any of that. The world feels much more generic fantasy and much less distinct. I guess. The world is very, in the original trilogy at least, is very well considered, and on its own kept me invested in ways that the reboot doesn't, and even if it got sequels, couldn't, honestly. But now it is time to spin the wheel of pain once more. Okay. God, this is gonna suck, isn't it? Alright. Here we fucking go. Huh. I have been spared another day. Alright. Seems that I spoke too soon. We're back to Kyle. Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2 is a different beast entirely from the first game, but in a way that's so easy for me to articulate. Dark Forces is Star Wars Doom. Dark Forces 2 is Star Wars Quake. Kyle himself has also evolved in a really fun way. He's less mercenary now and earnestly invested in the cause of the rebellion. He even gets a tragically dead dad as part of it. This one fucking rules, even if I'm worse at this than I am at Dark Forces by a lot. I need to be a little smarter than I am and more accurate to be effective in a lot of the levels, but it's so fast, it's so fluid. Everything feels like it's happening at 100 miles an hour, and I cannot get enough. And as the title suggests, Kyle gets a lightsaber and starts getting force powers. Some of them are pretty fun, the jump, the speed. Some of them I didn't use, which I can't name now because I don't remember them. But the final power for the light side just makes you an unkillable beast, which against bosses is nuts. The lightsaber combat is fast and frenetic, even if it's not artful, which is, I know it's not, but it is kind of a fun narrative idea that Kyle, despite being an effective soldier, is just like, I'm going to wing this incredibly dangerous sword at you until one of us dies. The boss fights, of which there's like five or six, they really require you to weave in and out at really, really fast speeds to avoid getting chopped up. But the problem is the light side power just kind of neutralizes most bosses. They just can't hit you, and you can try to wail on them. I had more fun before I had it, honestly, because every boss fight was just a mad dash to not get butchered, which was honestly pretty fun. There's a lot of full motion video cutscenes as well, and they are low budget delights. This game has some sick ass community theater scenes just embedded straight into it. I love it so much. Why isn't this canon? I cannot wait to play the next one in this series because I'm curious where it goes. But for right now, we're going back to the wheel.
Do I need to be quiet?
No, I think that's how the clip's going to open. I'll be 100% with you. It's way funnier that way. Okay, 25% Tomb Raider chance, baby. Let's go.
Hey.
Okay.
Oh no.
Hey.
Okay, so
Oh no.
the
means.
next wheel spin will look like this.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I'm gonna have like 2 straight months of Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Fuck! I'm so bummed. All right, it's time to hit the skates. Before we start, though, I will say if you have a lot of nostalgia for this game, just check out here, and I'll see you next month. Since they're gone, let's get into it. Jet Set Radio is a game with an incredibly good vibe and aesthetic, but man, does it not hold up. It's so frustrating to play, which I learned pretty fast when I fired up the tutorial, and asked you to do this really tight, like, skate backwards turn that I never used again, and then there's the worst one. Hit a 50 trick combo. Now, the footage you're seeing now is after I have a lot of experience with the game, so to me, a 50 trick combo is not hard. I got the achievement for a 100 trick loop on accident. I just was completely zoned out talking to somebody, just hitting the same things over and over, and I was like, bloop, there it is. But that's me on like 25 hours in. Hour 1, asking me to hit a 50 trick combo is insane. I think the tutorial on its own took me like 2.5 hours because of that. Because I don't have the mechanics, I don't know the loop perfectly, I don't know how to correct from mistakes. And there's so many small things that make it so much harder. Like, it doesn't have a manual like most of the Tony Hawk games do, where you can kind of like glide on the ground and keep your trick string going. No, you have to keep grinding or you're just fucked. There's a regular jump, there's like a super jump, and I never figured out when the super jump happens. It felt speed-based almost, which is cool if I ever had control over how fast I was going, but it's incredibly rare that you do. So it's, I don't know, man. So many levels, in order to hit their max rank, which is a required achievement, you have to just do a bunch of infinite loops, and every time I do it, it feels like I'm just circling the fucking toilet bowl because I'm going crazy, but I just have to do it over and over and over again because that's just what I have to do. Because if you, on the story levels especially, the other ones aren't so bad, if you have to get a certain score to get a jet, you can't gamble because some of the guides online are wrong. A thing that I found out about when I missed a jet rank by 330 points, which is nothing, because I thought it was one number and it wasn't, and I ended up getting hit by a car, which forced me to restart because there's no post-game level select. So like I couldn't just do the level again. I had to retry it right there, and because I got game overed out of it, it just kicked me. And I don't know, man. It's incredibly hard for me to like a game that requires much tighter execution than it feels like it's built for. I don't know. It feels way too loose for me to be as forgiving with it as I could be. The races, too, they really vary because some of the races are incredibly hard, but they're because, like, all right, I have to hit the tricks right, I have to go at a certain speed. And they're just difficult because you have to constantly be going, you can't lose speed hardly ever. And that's fine. It's a race. That's the point. There is one race, though, where you're racing against another person, because that's what they are, where they are so fast that I don't know how it's possible to get less than a jet because I almost lost to them and still got it. And then I had one where I missed time by like 10 seconds. And I just... Now, there is another achievement, like, it's supposed to be one of the harder ones, where you just can't get grabbed the entire game. But once I learned it on speedrunning tech, which just like you skip in and out of graffiti just to do the easiest input, it became a joke. I think I got touched twice that entire run, and it took me like an hour or two. Like, it was nothing. But like, I'm not playing the game at that point. Like, Jet Set has not aged well. I have so many gripes that I feel like I could go on forever, but I am going to cut myself off here. One of the bigger issues for me also dealing with it from like a modern lens is that it doesn't have the level of like mod support that a lot of the other older games I've been playing have. And from what I understand, that's a problem with the game itself and like how weird Dreamcast games are to fuck with. But it's kind of a shame because a couple of the times when I was just doing like the trick challenges or whatever, like when I fully hit that flow state and I'm just like zoned out listening to music, talking to folks, just like almost treating it like a hangout. It becomes basically a rhythm game at that point because as long as you do the tricks in the same place at the same time, the infinite loops are fucking deterministic. Like, you're not going to fuck them up if you know them and don't botch the execution because they are consistent at the very least. I like a lot of the character designs. For the most part, Combo is reflective of the time in a derogatory way, I would say. I hate the graffiti tags being all kinds of different styles and colors. I used them because I had to for an achievement, but I would have done it anyway because they're just like really cool to see other people's art that go across the city, even if doing that was really annoying. Man, I don't even talk about the story missions, like how much shit they throw at you, but it didn't age well. I'm over it. I can't talk about it anymore. Apparently it's getting a reboot at some point, maybe this year, and I hope that the devs or the community make some like quality of life adjustments because it does need them. But you would need a fucking gun to get me to play that. I'm going back to the wheel. Alright, fuck it, let's do this. Well, I guess it was inevitable.